Hey guys, Shutters and Triggers here again. I realized that most of the reviews I've done up until this point have been primarily guns, gun accessories, EDC stuff, knives, and part of my name is also Shutters. I'm a photographer. I work professionally doing that. That's what I went to college for, and I've spent a lot of time buying and selling cameras. I prefer to shoot film. So a lot of the cameras that I use are older. This one, for example, is from the 80s. And it's taken me a long time to really sort of fine tune the system that I like. You know, everyone, when it comes to anything, guns, knives, photography, cameras, computers, whatever it is, something works better for you than something else. So this is what I have settled on. I have had Hasselblads. I have had the Fuji 6x7 rangefinders. I've never owned a Mamiya 6 or a Mamiya 7, but I've looked seriously into them. I like those, but they're very expensive, and these are relatively affordable. And I absolutely love this camera. And I'm going to kind of walk you through it, show you how it works a little bit, and just kind of talk about it as I go around it, and hopefully some of you guys find this helpful. This is a Mamiya C330 Professional S, and if I bump the tripod, I'm sorry, I'm kind of working around it here. I'm using it with a 80mm f2.8 lens. This is not the lens that it came with. The lens that it came with was more of a silver chrome press kind of camera, and I actually bought this newer one off of eBay, and I really like it. It's a little bit smoother working and easier to use, but as you can probably tell, this is a TLR, or a twin lens reflex. What that means is that when you look through the viewfinder up here, you are looking out of this front lens. Let me focus for you guys. You're looking out of this top lens, but when you actually actuate the shutter, it's the bottom lens that takes the photograph. And all your controls are listed around here on the lens. If you can see, once again, let me focus for you. There we go. You've got your shutter speeds along this inside dial and your f-stops here. And on the opposite side of the lens, there is a lever to move that. And then this ring you can just turn. Pretty easy. You know, with any of these cameras, there's no meter. There's no meter. Let me say that again. And so you need to have a light meter. I use a Sekonic. I'll probably do a review of that later, but that's not what we're talking about right now. For the Mamiya here, it is a bellows rail focus system. So when you turn these knobs, you can hear the bellows sticking together. It racks out. Now the nice thing about this over like a Hasselblad kind of system is that you get macro focus capabilities. With a Hasselblad, you don't. I think your minimum focus distance is like 3 feet or 4 feet, which is fine for the most part. But, you know, if you want to get something a little closer in, you know, it doesn't really work for you. But, yeah. So let's see, what else? You've got your film counter. This actually has film in it. I didn't realize that until I started filming, but that's all right. And you can swap it from single to multi-exposure if you wanted to do multiple exposures. This is your film winding lever. After you take an exposure, you'll just wind to the next one, just like a Hasselblad does. Shutter lock, so you can turn it on, or this is, yeah, so now you can take a picture or you lock it. You can actuate the shutter by either this, which is very Hasselblad-y, or by using this too. It's the same thing. And I mean, it works exactly the same as a large format would. You have a shutter cocking lever here. This is your lever, not letter. And then this is your trigger, or your shutter release right there. To change the lenses, you would turn this, and that actually drops a baffle to cover the film. And then you release that, and your lens plate lifts off. This is kind of an interesting retention system. When you press this down, I don't know if you guys can see that, but this presses against the inside of the film plate there, and then that is attached to the same, and it presses, and it holds that thing really firmly in there. Let's see. Film goes in here. what you would do is you press this right here. See if you can see it. Press that down and then that in, and it will pop this back open, and then you would load it like you would any other medium format camera, 2 reels, and you get it to the arrow, and then you close it and you wind it. The pressure plate on the back here you can turn, and that will switch this from 120 to 220 depending on what kind of film that you use. I've got this loaded with 100 hectare right now, which is a great film. It's this stuff. I really like it. But let's see. You can get a chimney viewfinder like this, which should remind you of the Hasselblad-ish focusing method. I prefer the Reflex viewfinder. Just seems to work better for me. Let's see, what am I forgetting? There's a focusing scale here. I've never used it, but if you want to, you can. Excuse me. There's a focusing lock, so once you get it in focus, you can lock that down, and actually turn it the other way to lock it down, and then it won't turn. Yeah, I find that the lenses on the Mamiya are really sharp and very high quality. I'll roll in some pictures that I've taken with them, but the color's great, the contrast is great. Like with any other medium format camera, you really need to, when shooting wide open or really close to your subject, you need to make sure that your focus is really dialed in. And I take a couple extra seconds to verify it each time. Because if you're off just a little bit, especially when you're wide open and you're really close, if you're doing a portrait or something like that, you're going to go a little soft. It's just the way, it's the way it works. But yeah, let's see. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. If you guys have any questions, be sure to let me know. You have a PC port up here if you want to shoot it with studio lights. You can put a cable release down in here if that's something you want to do. If you're shopping for lenses, the blue dot, if you can see that, is a more desirable lens than just the silver chrome ones. You can find these used on eBay, guys, for like $300, $400, depending on what you get. There's a whole line of lenses for them. Telephoto, wide angle. This is an 80. You can get a 65. They might even have a 50. And then they have like 100 and all the way up to, I think, a 300 that sticks way off the front of the camera, which I think is a little funny for these. But, if it's something that you think you can use, more power to you. But, yeah, like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. That's all I can think of right now. I'll annotate anything that I missed. Once again, this is a Mamiya C330 Professional S. S is the newest model made. There's also an F, and then there's one without a letter, and then there's the C220, and so on and so forth. But yeah, it's a great camera. I would highly recommend it. I shot my senior thesis with this when I was in art school, and that's a lot coming from a guy that would claim to be mostly a 4x5 photographer. So I would highly recommend it. Send me any questions. Thanks a lot, guys. See you later.